It's Ghoulish time! My name is Max Booth, our host. And today on the program I am talking with Sam Richard and Brendan Vidito about the recent-ish anthology, The New Flesh, which is a tribute to the books of David Cronenberg. So on this episode, we'll just have a good old-fashioned conversation about David Cronenberg. And now my dogs are barking, son of a bitch. I'm not gonna stop talking. I don't want to do this intro again. David Cronenberg. D, 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 A, A, V, 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 I, D, D, D. David Cronenberg. Okay, so to begin with, I do have a bone to pick with you guys. For many years, I've had this idea to do a tribute anthology to David Cronenberg, and I was going to call it Long Live the New Flesh. And I talked to my pal Bob Pastorella about it a few times at conventions, and every time I would see him again, he would go, "Hey man, when are you going to do this anthology? It sounds awesome." And I said, "Yeah, I know, I just need to gather my thoughts and do an open call." And then a year would pass, and Bob would go, "Hey man, what's going on with this anthology?" And I would go, "Yeah, I know, I'm just lazy, I'll get to it." And then, lo and behold, you fuckholds decided to do it, and I thought, what a relief.
Yeah, it swam around in our heads for a really long time, too. It was like 3 or 4 years between when we first talked about it and when it finally came out. So I think it was one of those ideas, and we had said, like, it's one of those ideas that if we don't do it, someone else is gonna, so we have to do it first.
Yeah, we specifically said if we don't do it, Max is probably going to do it. So we better...
Well, I'm glad you guys did it because it sounded exhausting to me. And this way, I didn't have to read, 200 submissions? I just got to read, what did you have in this book, 18 stories in it? I just got to read the best of the best. And it was kind of good on my end. I kind of just skipped ahead.
I felt a little bad kind of complaining about the amount of submissions, just because, as a writer, and you see, oh, man, they got a lot, and, oh, maybe, I don't know, maybe my chances aren't great, but I also felt bad knowing that, you with the pizza anthology, you got just a fucking million submissions. I know that Robert S. Wilson got a ton of submissions for Nox Paradelia, more than... Both of you got more than we got for The New Flesh. And so I'm over here complaining about 200 and then remembering that some editors were getting 500 or 800 for their books. So
with the pizza book, we got 19,573 submissions.
Oh my God.
that number's made up, right?
I have no proof.
I don't think we got any pizza submissions. Did we?
No. Was our call it was around the same time or just prior? I don't remember. Time doesn't make sense.
When did this book come out? 2018?
Yeah, what is time anymore?
It came out 2019. Came out last year.
Oh man, I don't know. It might have been around the same time. Don't ask me when Tales from the Crest came out because I don't know. I feel like we've lived in 2020 for the past decade.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good God, how is it only July?
Yeah.
It's really fucked up.
Yeah.
It's how is it only July, but also how is it July? I keep feeling like it's March.
Yeah. I was quite baffled a few days ago when I realized it was already halfway past July, and I thought, wait a minute, it just was July. How is it almost done? I don't know. Time, as you said, means nothing at all.
Yep.
How did this
Completely meaningless.
How did this anthology come about? Tell me about the beginnings of it.
Well, it happened. I think it was the first year. I think we met at BizarroCon. Was it, Sam? Like that was
Yeah.
the first time we met, and then we were like a few drinks deep, and then we were just talking about like J.G. Ballard and Cronenberg and all that. And I forget which one of us mentioned like, hey, it'd be cool. Like no one's like I think I mentioned like the Cameron Pierce did the David Lynch themed anthology, In Heaven Everything Is Fine, and I said, like there's no David Cronenberg yet, but that would be really cool if we did that. And as Sam said, like years passed, and we just kept, dancing around this idea, and eventually we decided to give it a shot.
Yeah, it was I think it was 2016. Every time we get asked this question, we have to do that thing of like, fuck, what year was it?
Yeah.
I think it was BizarroCon 2016. And like I had already done with Emma Alice Johnson, like through starting Weird Punk, we had already done the G.G. Allen anthology, and the Misfits anthology was, I think, had just come out or was just about to come out right around the time of that BizarroCon. I think it had just come out. And so it was like, that's kind of what I had been doing, was anthologies, tributes to various, at that point, just punk figures. But it was like kind of thinking about other things and kind of stretching into other passions. And Brendan had said we kind of connected on that, like body horror stuff and J.G. Ballard and all that kind of shit. And we just was like, how has no one done this? It seems so like obvious of a choice for someone to do a tribute anthology.
Plus, David Cronenberg is pretty punk, man. Nothing is more punk than destroying flesh and then having sex.
Very true. Many a punk song has been written about those very themes.
Even Cronenberg sounds like the name of a skateboard label. You got one of those new Cronenbergs?
Yes, it totally does. Somebody should make that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am not going to do that.
I've got a lot of time on my hands. Maybe I will.
Did you guys skateboard often? Or do you still?
Not
No.
for a long time.
I'm pretty sure I got on one once and I face planted. That was the extent of my experience on a skateboard.
I used to a lot, but I'm extremely clumsy, and it was not a good idea. I have a question. Do you think David Cronenberg has ever skateboarded?
Probably.
Do they allow those in Canada?
Yeah, we have the specially made the Canadian skateboards. That's like 60% of the population of Canada. That's how they get around.
What the fuck is the Canadian skateboard?
That's a fucking maple leaf on the end. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just it's I don't know. It's made in a beaver factory. That's all I know.
I used to have a subscription to that magazine.
Beaver Factory? That was a magazine about making wood, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, David Cronenberg, he knows a lot about making wood. Agree? Disagree?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
But like really gross wood. It's got a lot of like knobs and weird orifices.
It's always leaking.
Yeah, it leaks everywhere. It's just weird. It's weird wood.
So there's this movie that just came out on one of the streaming websites, and it's about this guy. He's like making over a house, and like cum begins leaking from the fucking sockets in the walls. Do you know what I'm talking about, any of you?
No, I can't believe I missed this though.
Yeah.
It's called like the cum house. I don't know what it's called. That's what I call it.
There's next movie.
There's a medical term that's occult blood, which is when they find blood, like especially in your stool or something, but they don't know the like point of origin for it. It's called cult blood, and I really wish that there was a medical term for cum that shows up from unknown origins. It was just occult cum. And I think that that's an anthology that we should all do together, the Occult Cum anthology.
I don't know, man. I think L. Ron Hubbard probably has like dibs on that book.
Yeah.
That guy was into some strange shit.
Yeah.
Remember when he stole all that money from Jack Parsons and bought yachts with it?
Yep. You remember when him and Jack went out to the desert and jolted off and looked at the moon?
I don't remember that.
That was, yeah, they did it to like conjure like the like some type of goddess, and then when they got home, this woman was on the fucking front stoop just waiting
Yep.
for them, and they were like, the jerk off ceremony was successful.
Yeah, that was the Scarlet Woman, and it was Marjorie Cameron who showed up at their house, who was then in a bunch of Kenneth Anger movies.
I've tried jacking off in the desert, but it's quite hot and nothing happens.
It's just not the same without Jack Parsons there, or creepy L. Ron Hubbard trying to rub it for you.
Yeah, you need to stare into his eyes while you're doing it.
I always say if you want to jack off, you should have a rocket scientist present.
Yeah.
That's what anyone knows me. They know that I would say that. That's my main thing I say.
I have heard you say that more than once.
Anytime I'm on a panel, that's how I begin my introduction, and I'm no longer welcome at conventions. How did you guys get introduced to David Cronenberg?
For me, I think I'm always confused with the first one I saw. I'm pretty sure it was The Brood. I think my dad had seen it at a film festival or something. He's like, "Hey, you should watch this movie. It's really weird." And I might have been 13 or 14. And then I was like, "Okay, this is cool." And I just remember thinking it was really all like an ultra Canadian movie because just the climate and like the fact that the monster children were just bundled up in these little snowsuits. But I think like the moment that I really kind of fell in love with his work was when I saw Videodrome, and that just kind of he instantly became one of my favorite filmmakers after seeing that one.
I think my first introduction, I was so my dad is a horror fan and had no filter for what we could watch growing up, so I saw all sorts of stuff way too young. And I'm fine with it, but just thinking back, I'm like, that's kind of weird. And I definitely remember seeing, I think it was on cable or something, seeing at least parts of Scanners. I remember the head exploding. I remember the veins popping. I remember just some disparate elements of that. And then I didn't kind of rediscover him until I was a teenager.
I only saw Scandals within the last few months. And the best part of watching that movie is I finally knew what that GIF was from. That's always online.
Yeah.
I got so excited. It's from the internet. I know that scene. Looking at all the movies he's directed, I realize, while I do believe I am a big fan of what he's done, holy hell, I'm missing out on a bunch of movies he's put out. I had no idea about these first two movies he did, Stelio and Crimes of the Future. Never even heard of these movies, and yet they somehow exist.
Yeah, they're I guess they're student films. Because I think originally he wanted to be a scientist, and then I don't know, then he was into writing. J.G. Ballard was a huge influence on him, and then somehow he got into filmmaking. And I think, he made them while he was in school.
And Brendan, you've seen Crimes of the Future, right?
Yeah, both of them. Yeah, they're you can see there's hints of where he's going, but yeah, they're just very they're you can tell they're his first movies. They're interesting, but yeah, you can definitely tell that's where he's starting out.
I think as Cronenberg fans, we've all failed by not watching that Fast Cars movie every week of our lives.
Yeah, we debated that throughout the whole time we were reading through submissions. We're maybe we should watch this movie.
And I was really hoping, in a weird way, I was hoping that we would get just a straightforward racing story.
It's called Fast Company. The poster looks amazing. Have you guys seen this poster? My God. It's a man and a woman in tracksuits standing next to some type of science fiction vehicle.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Classic Cronenberg.
It has 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. Woo-hoo.
Wow. The 12 people that watched it liked it pretty good then.
And one of the 12 is Cronenberg himself.
What do you guys have against this movie? You seem to not be fans.
Oh, no, I just think it's funny. It's just like an aberration in his filmography that's like really kind of zany.
Because I think he did it right after Scanners. It's just like so left field, and then he goes back. He's like, "Oh, I guess I'll make a Videodrome now."
Right, like it would make more sense to me if that was perhaps his first movie or his first movie out of school, like after the student films. Because a lot of directors did that. Like Martin Scorsese made that Boxcar Bertha movie for Roger Corman, and like a lot of filmmakers come up just kind of doing what they can. So it's so funny that he did what he wanted for a while, and then, I mean, maybe that's what he wanted, but then kind of reverted to a very commercial film before then going back to kind of what we know him for.
So we have Shiveled and then Rabid in 75 and 77, both of which I have not seen because I suck. And then after that, we have Fast Company, followed in the same year of 1979 by The Brood.
Oh. You should really watch Shivers. Like, I like Rabid too, but I think Shivers, you see so much of the Ballard influence in that. It's like kind of High Rise plus this venereal sex zombie thing. It's a really cool movie.
It's the quintessential weird wood movie.
I see the original title was a Eulogy of the Blood Pill Sites, and I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Very 70s.
Yeah.
Has he adapted anything besides... Oh, wait, I was going to say besides The Dead Zone, but obviously he also did Crash and Naked Lunch. What am I talking about?
Yep, and
The Flies
Spider, I think, is based off of a book, and A History of Violence is based off of a comic. So he's
and
done quite
Butterfly's a play.
Yep, that's right. And then obviously remaking The Fly.
Yeah. Man, what would you guys say is your favorite Cronenberg?
Fuck. I hate this question. There's never one answer for me. It kind of shifts around. I love Crash, so I was want to like, it's got just this menacing aura to it, even though the pacing is kind of strange, but there's something about it. I mean, again, huge Ballard fan, so that helps, but I really love that one, but at the same time, I'm kind of just like, yeah, I don't know, like, The Brood is pretty fucking incredible, but they're all good, so.
Yeah, for me, it's probably a toss-up between Videodrome and Dead Ringers. They're both, like, very different, but I just like how, Dead Ringers was, like, basically, like, a transitional film from, like, his weirder, more visceral stuff to, like, his more cerebral films. And Jeremy Irons' performance in that's incredible. Yeah, it's just in those really bizarre gynecological tools.
Oh, that one's also based off a book.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
Man, I love that movie, and nobody talks about it that much, but it's awesome. You always see it on, I think, Netflix or maybe Hulu, and the what do you call it, the thumbnail look they have is awful, and I can't imagine anybody clicks on it. It looks almost like a romance book, man.
Recommended if you like The Notebook.
I kind of want to, like, if I was good at editing video, like redo the trailer so it looks like a rom-com. You could easily do that.
Oh my god, you totally could. Two twins each trying to seduce this woman to comedic effect.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I recently tweeted something about how sometimes whenever I'm driving, I get this idea and I get so excited because I think, oh man, this is an original idea. No, how come nobody has thought of this? And the idea is, what if I wrecked and then got an erection? But yeah,
that sounds like a Cronenberg movie.
That's been made.
Sometimes when I'm driving, like I kind of have that fear of like, oh, what if I get in a car accident? But especially if I really want to get home because I really have to go to the bathroom. Like right now would be the worst time to get in a car accident.
Yeah, because you might just fucking let loose in the accident. But
Right.
B, what if you don't and you still have it going on?
Yeah, and then you're like having to wait for the cops, and you're having to like get each other's like information and insurance, and then I'm just like I'm not trying to flee the scene. I just really need to take a shit.
Exactly. I've also had that same thought. It's not great, man. I mean, would you get a ticket for going to take a shit? I don't know.
I don't know. I think if you like left your car and just went to like a business that was nearby, be like, I'll be right. Tell the person like I'll be right back. I just really got to take care of this. But then they might also like you get back and the cops are like, so I heard you were throwing some drugs away in that toilet.
Yeah, you're all sweating.
I just had Taco Bell, guys. It's okay. I feel like it would give you a good excuse to shit your pants, maybe. Like even if you woke up in the vehicle and you had it, but you did have to take a shit, I would be like, yeah, this is a freebie. I can just go and no one would say anything.
It might relieve some of the stress of the situation too. You never know.
Yeah, a little levity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. If you could play the game that's in existence, how do you say this? Do you have to pronounce the Z?
Existenz, I think, which sounds like an erection pill.
It does. It does. Would you play that game?
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah, probably. Is Willem Dafoe gonna be in the game?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Is he in that movie? I have not seen it in Yields.
Yeah, I think he's a gas station attendant or a mechanic or something.
I don't remember that, but I also haven't seen it in quite a while.
I believe you. I saw that movie and I thought, oh, this is the greatest movie of all time. And then I went online to look it up and I was like, oh no, the people on the internet, they hate this movie.
I think that one, kind of depending on where you're coming from with watching it, I think it could suffer from the feeling of a lot of the acting is really stilted, but in that way that makes sense because they're NPCs in a video game, which I think really works. But if you're not really invested in thinking about the kind of logic of the movie, I could see it just being like, man, the acting in this is real shit.
Yeah.
How often do you think someone like some average Joe wants to watch that movie Crash, the movie that solves racism, and they instead get Cronenberg's movie?
I really hope like more often than anyone would think.
This won how many Academy Awards? Oh my god.
Yeah.
I hope so. What the hell is M. Butterfly? I'm seeing that title. I have no idea what it is.
I saw it, but a long time ago. I think it's just an adaptation of a play.
It's like a period piece drama.
Yeah.
Gross. Sounds like a Cronenberg thing. I mean, if you think about the way his career has gone, I mean, like you guys said, those beginning movies, those weren't really like body horror type of stuff, right? Like Crimes of the Future and shit like that.
There's hints. Like I think the Crimes of the Earth, which there's Crimes of the Future and the Crimes of the Future. I think it has something to do with like this cosmetic company, like whose cosmetics basically create STDs and stuff. So there's like, there's an inkling of like that venereal aspect, but there's no actual like body horror on screen or anything. It's all very just like sterile like hospital settings in these. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people in tweed. I remember that.
That's pretty grotesque sounding.
Yeah.
I like that. And then, like in the 2000s, he leans into like gangster stuff, like with History of Violence and Eastern Promises. 2 movies I quite enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then what the hell's going on with the last 3 movies he did? I haven't seen any of them, so I mean, they might be great, but I don't know.
There's Cosmopolis, Maps to the Stars, and what's the other one? Oh, Dangerous Mind. Or Dangerous Method. Method.
What can you guys tell me about those 3?
I only saw Dangerous Method once, but I liked it quite a bit. But it was like when it came out, so I don't remember super thoroughly. Cosmopolis, I watched part of and fell asleep. And not like, this isn't like a throwing shade at the movie. I was probably really tired or something after work. And I've never seen Maps to the Stars, but Leo X. Robertson, who's in The New Flesh, that's his favorite Cronenberg movie. So I've actually been meaning to watch that since he told me that.
Yeah, that one's like a Hollywood satire, basically. It's good. It's very different than even like the two other movies that Sam mentioned.
What the hell? Okay, so I haven't read or watched many interviews with David Cronenberg. I don't know if you guys have. Do you guys have any idea what was going on with him? Like, this is a pretty big shift in what he was making. Like, do you have any insight in all of that?
I remember watching when A History of Violence, like the DVD came out, when DVDs were a thing and special features were a thing you would maybe spend time watching. I remember watching some behind the scenes on that, where there was a dream sequence in the movie that they filmed that has kind of goopy, I want to say like stomach, vagina, classic Cronenberg stuff in it. And they ended up cutting it from the film because he was kind of like, well, we filmed this because I had this idea, but then I was like, not all of my movies have to have this element, and does this actually add something to the story being just a dream sequence? And I think that was kind of I can only speculate, but it seemed like that was kind of a pivotal moment for him of realizing, like, I don't need to be this thing I'm known as. I can do what I want, not just because the fans want it. Did you read his novel, Consumed?
No, but I own it. Does that count?
Very much so. I feel like that's almost in its own way kind of also an in-between, even though it was significantly later in his, it was not that long ago that it was written, like 8 years ago or something, I think. I don't know, time doesn't exist. But that had a lot of the kind of heavy Ballard influence to it, even though, and like the kind of body horror-esque things were kind of a little different than his classic work, but I still felt it pulled a lot of those vibes in, even though in a different way. Brendan, did you read that one?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I think there's maybe I'm misremembering, but isn't there an element where the character like 3D prints dildos that look like bugs? Because I'm pretty sure, like, I remember reading, like, I was maybe like 80 pages in or something. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. There's like a missing philosopher or something, and then I'm like, give me the weird shit. And then this happens. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah. I think that does happen. I don't super remember. I mostly just remember like kind of the cannibalism-ish stuff, cannibal fetishization, right? That's in there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell maybe Cronenberg was definitely like online and looking at dragon dildos, and he's like, this is super interesting. I'm going to incorporate this into my novel.
Did the dildos look like actual bugs, or did they look like bug proboscis?
I don't know. Maybe like, all my books are in boxes, and we can totally read dramatic reading of that part.
Wow. I want to get a 3D printer now.
There you go. Sell them on Etsy.
I'm too stupid to understand how those machines operate.
Every 3D printed object I've ever touched has like a texture to it. It's not like flat or sleek, and you would think that you would not want to use something made with a 3D printer as a sex toy because it's kind of rough.
I mean, I'll put anything inside me once. That's what I always say. That and whatever the other thing was I said in the beginning of this episode. I've already forgotten. How did you get Kathy Kojo to do the intro to this book?
She was one of our people that we really wanted to write a story for it. We asked, so we put out the general submission, but we also kind of asked a handful of people if they would be willing to submit something that we would more than likely accept as long as it was, kind of within what we wanted. And she was among that like list because we're both like Brendan and I are both massive fans of hers. And she was in the middle of doing edits on one of her books and said she just didn't have time, but she really appreciated us asking. And then we kind of got talking about it, and I was like, well, maybe there's a way to sweeten the pot for her where she doesn't have to write a whole fucking story, and we can pay her like more than 1 penny a word to do something else. So from that was kind of born the idea of asking her to do a foreword, and like thankfully she was like, yeah, I'm down with that. Send me the book and I'll read it and I'll write a foreword. And I'm like still kind of amazed that just like that we were able to, like, I mean, Weird Punk, I'm like a tiny little, punk rock press. So feel pretty amazing that she was gracious enough to just like, yeah, I'm down with this. Let's fucking do it.
I like the intro quite a bit. It's unlike any introduction to a book I've read, I think. It's really experimental, kind of poetic reading.
Yeah. Yeah. She told me, she was like, I'm not going to do, like, I'm working on it right now because we were talking about, I was like, oh, the deadline is pretty soon. You're going to be able to have it. She's like, yeah, I'm actually working on it right now. It's not real academic. Is that okay? And I was like, yeah, like, do it. We wanted you to do your thing. Fucking do your thing. You're brilliant. Whatever it is, I'm sure we'll love it.
I imagine Brian Evanson was also on that invite list.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That guy is the fucking bomb, and it amazes me he's not like a household name at this point.
Same, yeah, he's incredible.
Such a good writer, such a good, like, he's so cool and nice, very friendly. And yeah, that was another one that I think Brendan and I both, like, we kind of had lists of, like, we, like, made a list, and it was like, yeah, definitely, if we can get Cody to write something, that'd be super cool. Brian Evanson was on that list, too.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of stories about things growing inside of bodies, so I quite like that one.
So chicken soup for the pregnant lady's soul. That's a
yes. It's a dream project of mine. Well, not of something I would do, but something I want to see is a David Cronenberg adaptation of Last Days.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. Yes.
He's still alive, so I mean, we can't give up hope just yet. I don't know how we make it happen, though.
And if not, it's his son too. I don't know if you've seen Brandon Cronenberg's. He did what was antiviral?
Yeah, that was
Possessors.
Good.
Yeah,
he has a new one coming out, right? What is that called?
Possessor.
Yeah, that preview looked pretty rad.
Yeah.
That's coming out soon?
I think so. I think it might have been delayed with everything going on, but yeah, it might hit VOD soon.
I'm looking it up now. We can do that. Okay, it says 2020. Well, that's really fucking helpful. Well, 2020. That's when it's coming out. Oh man, I mean, we can walk through the whole TOC if you guys want. I mean, unless there's like anything specific about the anthology you want to point out. I really like Evanson's story. Cody Goodfellow, I think, knocked the fucking theme out of the park in a really unique way.
Yeah,
yeah.
Agreed.
I think also, just like looking at the TOC again of like what I read and what is standing out without any notes in front of me, I fucking loved Gwendolyn. Is it Kist or Keist?
I always say Keist, but I could certainly be wrong.
I have no idea, but the story she wrote in this anthology was fucking perfect, man.
Yeah, that blew us away.
Yeah, she was another one that we asked. I'm a massive fan of hers. And Her Smile Will Untether the Universe, her short story collection that came out a year or two ago, is one of my favorite short story collections. And I was just like I would love to have her on this. She's written stuff kind of in this realm, very like she's just an amazing writer and kind of works in a similar realm. So I was super stoked that she was able to get us that story. And I really loved how she, I think more than most, leaned in a little bit to the kind of new age element of Cronenberg's work. but without kind of going so far in it, just like he doesn't. Like he never extends super deep. It's a kind of vaguely there. And I really like how she did that, like expertly.
Yeah, I think like in her story too, and basically all the ones you mentioned, because our main mandate with the anthology, we wanted stories. Basically, we wanted people to write stories where, like, kind of projecting like what Cronenberg would be, what kind of films he would be making now, what kind of like in themes in relation to like what's going on, like currently, and just bringing those ideas into the present. And all those stories sort of do that, and they just, for example, Katie Michelle Quinn's story, it plays with the idea, like it's like a trans Cronenberg story, and that we were hoping we'd get something along those lines, and that one's another one that,
Oh yeah, that was good.
yeah, that totally blew us
She,
away.
Katie is like one of the best fucking writers. She's so good, and that story is, I fucking love that one. I mean, I love every
Yeah.
story we're gonna talk about. I'll be like, I love that one. But like,
Obviously, yeah.
I think she's like on a level where I really want more people to like read her stuff, because I think she's just like bringing it really hard in a really cool, unique way, and her voice is so strong.
Yeah, this was my introduction to Katie's fiction. I definitely need to seek out what else she's put out.
Yeah, her novella Winnie, it was part of the New Bizarro author series a couple years ago, I think 2018 maybe.
Yeah.
And it's my favorite book of that whole series, the whole NBAS series. It's maybe my favorite Eraserhead book, actually. It's so fucking good.
I haven't read Gwendolyn's collection that you mentioned, but I am in the process of reading the novel she wrote, the Rest Maidens, and holy shit, that is like Body Hill at its finest.
I still haven't read that one, but I'm really Yeah,
I listened to the audiobook. That one's so good.
That's how I'm also reading it. I guess I should have said I'm listening to it. But yeah, I've been listening to the audiobook as I do my night job, and it helps me stay a little bit sane. Okay. Tell me about how this front cover came about.
So Michael Bukowski, who did the front cover, I had hired him to do the cover for the previous anthology, Zombie Punks Fuck Off, which Weird Punk co-released with Clash books. And it was just kind of, I don't need to get into that, but like I took over the press and needed to, like, the book was basically done, but I didn't know how to do all the behind the scenes stuff yet. So I had them co-release it, but the art had already been acquired. I really wanted to work with Michael on that. And when Brendan and I, like, it came time to figure out, like, who do we want to do the cover, for me, it was just like a no-brainer. Like, I love working with Michael. I think his art is fucking incredible. And I knew that he, as a fan of Cronenberg, would do something really special with it. And so I just, kind of pitched it to him, and he was like, fuck yeah, let's do this. And I think he killed it.
I love it, man. I want that as a t-shirt.
Yeah, I just had stickers made of just the twins, like standalone. But it would be cool to make a shirt with that. And then there's art on the back cover that a friend of mine, Sarah, did, which is also, I think, like, really fucking cool. And I'm super stoked that she was down to help us out with that.
Oh wow!
Sarah,
I'm looking at it right now. I only have the ebook, but I'm looking at the back cover on Amazon, and that is awesome.
Yeah, Sarah Seenber-Huskin is I live in Minneapolis. She's a local artist and a friend of mine. She does a lot of illustration and animation stuff, and she was like, I want in. Like, what can I do? I was like, all right, you want to do the back cover? She's like, fuck yeah.
And we also have interior art by Jim Agpalza. He did a mugwump. And it's perfect.
Yeah, he actually, I think, now I don't remember. I think he came to me and was like, I want to do art for the book. And I was like, oh man, I have a cover artist and a back cover artist. Interior? He's like, I'll do a fucking interior drawing. And I was like, cool, like how much do you want for it? He was like, just give me a copy of the book, man. It's Cronenberg. Fuck it. And I was like, no, like we pay artists. So I like gave him some money too, but that I fucking love Jim and his art is so cool. Brendan and I have actually talked about getting kind of to memorialize our time spent reading 80,000 words worth of Cronenberg submissions. We've talked about getting that each as a tattoo.
Would you guys get like one half of the twins and then you can connect them?
Oh my god. That would be great. No, we're gonna get the illustration that Jim did of the mugwump. Yeah.
I love how the title is formatted on the front cover. It has that like double vision to it.
Yeah, it's like warping, like a VHS warp kind of. Yeah, that was like again like where Michael did the text elements on the cover, and we just kind of hashed it out. We had some ideas. He was like, I want to do the Civic TV thing, right, where like the new is like multiplied. I think it just lands really well. Like all the little details make that cover so good.
Yeah. Sometimes when I see a TV that's just complete static, I kind of press my face against it, hoping that I can have sex with it.
Do you do that to TVs that aren't static too? Because that's what I do. It doesn't matter what state they're in.
Anything that I can plug into a socket. Yeah. Socket? Is that what those fucking things are called?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound right.
Outlet? Electrical socket?
Outlet is what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cum house. Cum outlet. That's where my brain's going at the moment. Did you guys see that new movie on Hulu called Disappearance at Clifton Hill?
No.
Oh.
David Cronenberg's in that movie. It just came out.
Really?
He plays a man who has a conspiracy theory podcast. And if you watch this movie, you get to listen to David Cronenberg say, please don't forget to rate and review.
I think we take that sound clip and then use it to promote the new Flesh.
Yeah, agreed.
I might promote it on this episode. Do you have any other tribute anthologies planned?
No. So, as you know, anthologies are really expensive to produce. And yeah, shocking, right? And I love it, but this was my fourth anthology and my third like straight up tribute anthology. And while I'm not opposed to doing like Weird Punk doing another anthology in the future, for the time being, I'm not going to focus on that. And we're like releasing novellas. There is a mini anthology on the Weird Punk release schedule for either like the very end of this year or early next year. But it's kind of more of a just asked a couple friends to all write stories for it on a theme, as opposed to doing the whole submissions thing. And it's only going to be 5 stories. So it seems like a more manageable beast. This little like mini anthologies, like the Laser Mall project that me and Katie Quinn and Joe Quinnell did with Filthy Loot was kind of an inspiration for like, oh, I could do that too. I mean, I could like publish stuff like that too. Because I just think it's more manageable and more fun than like reading through a fuck ton of submissions and coming up with a really strict theme.
Yeah, that sounds like the best way to go. I need to copy you guys, I think.
Yeah, and I talked to Ira Rat from Filthy Loot, who released the Laser Mall, and I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing a thing kind of like in that vein / the Bleak Friday mini anthology that King Shot put out that Joe Quinnell is also in. And I was like, I just don't want to like step on your toes because you did Laser Mall, and now like we did Laser Mall together through Filthy Loot, and now I'm taking that kind of approach with something on Weird Punk. Is that cool? And I was like, oh yeah, of course. He was like, I was thinking about doing another thing like that, but I didn't want to step on your toes with Filthy Loot. Like, you fucking released it, man. Do whatever you want. But I kind of think there's a wave of that. I think it really makes sense to. It's easy to get fatigued reading longer anthologies where it's like a little more of the same, a little more of the same themes, the same types of things, even if the stories feel very different. I think it can kind of like bog it down. So I think like more like mini anthologies is kind of a cool thing that hopefully is a little like trending a little bit and people are starting to pay attention to and do more. Because I know I like to read them too.
Yeah, I have a Lazel Null, but I have not read it yet. And I don't know what my excuse is, besides, I guess, being a piece of shit.
That's probably it. That's the one excuse.
I also have the Mud Ballad, which I believe you guys released, right?
Yeah. Weird Punk put that out.
I have that in my hand right now. You wouldn't know this because we don't have video. I'm not lying.
Yeah, that was like, Jo is a really good friend of mine, and she was like, I have this book that I wrote a little while ago and then put it away, like just kind of trunked it thinking it was garbage. And I recently read it and I was shocked to find that it's actually pretty good. Would you beta read it for me and let me know what you think? Because I want to submit it to Grindhouse when Grindhouse had their open submission. And I read it and I fell in love with it. I just absolutely fell in love with it. And I apparently said this might not be right for Grindhouse, which I don't remember saying. Kind of trying to like a little negging there. Apparently, I just loved the book, and I was like, please let me put it out. And luckily, Jo agreed, and we worked on that together. And I'm so proud of that book. They crushed it. It's so fucking good. It's so cool. And that was the first novella that Weird Punk has put out, and now we're putting out more. But that kind of, I had been thinking about it, and that was sort of the catalyst for me to go no, I'm going to fucking do this. And because this book is that good, that I want to be the one who puts it out. Plus, it's always fun to work with friends. That certainly helped.
If anyone wants to know what this book sounds like, listen up. That's the sound of the book.
It's a good book.
This is what she wrote in the beginning of my book, because I bought a signed copy from Jo. Max, sew this book to your fucking head and never be alone again. That sounds like a threat.
Perfect.
All right, well, I think that about wraps it up. Do you fellas have anything else to add?
I've got, along with the Mud Ballad, the second Weird Punk release came out a month after that, so about 2 months ago, which is Sabbath of the Fox Devils, which is my own novella. It's kind of a splatterpunk take on a Goosebumps book. And then forthcoming, there are 2 releases coming out this latter part of the year. The next one, which will be out probably by the end of next month or early September, is 17 Names for Skin by Roland Blackburn. It's a kind of punk rock body horror thing. It's super fucking fun and really cool. And then Joanna Koch is a non-binary writer from Michigan who their novelette was recently up for, I think it was a Shirley Jackson Award. I'm releasing a book by them that is called The Wingspan of Severed Hands. And it's kind of a Robert Chambers-esque cosmic horror meets body horror with a very human element. So those are the 2 kind of big things that I've got going with Weird Punk, and then the aforementioned mini anthology, which is still kind of a secret. No details have been released about that yet.
It's a Come House anthology.
God damn it!
And all that stuff. Sorry, all that stuff is the releases that are out and the releases that will be out are available on the normal, get them on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Bookshop, etc. But you can also get them from the Weird Punk store, which is the best way to buy them, because we make more money, the authors make more money, and that's just weirdpunkbooks.square.site.
Sweet. What about you, Brendan? Anything else to add to all this?
I just have my collection, Nightmares in Ecstasy, that's available. There's the physical copy, the ebook, and recently there's the audiobook came out. And yeah, I've just been working on the follow-up for Clash and hoping to finish that soon and have that out maybe next year.
Badass. Well, this has been fun. I've enjoyed talking about David Cronenberg with you guys. I now want to go watch all of his movies.
Thanks so much for having us, and
Yeah.
please rub all of your throbbing polyps when you watch all of his movies, and send me pictures.
Yes.
My throbbing what?
Polyps.
That's not a old. I think you mean outlets.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Your sockets. Rub your sockets and send me the pictures.
I wish I had a throbbing socket, I'll tell you what. Ooh, and that's been an episode of Ghoulish. I am Max Booth, a host. And if you liked today's episode, go rate and review us on iTunes. We have a Patreon at patreon.com/PMM Publishing. If you want a spooky ghoulish t-shirt, go on over to tpublic/user/PMM Publishing. You can follow us on Twitter at GhoulishPod. You can follow us on Instagram at PMM Publishing. You can email us a spooky thing that's happened to you, and I might read it on the podcast. Email us at ghoulishpod@gmail.com. And go buy the books we publish at perpetualpublishing.com.
Live spooky, die spooky.
Well, remember, rate and review the podcast. It helps our rankings.